that you know all this.
All right. Hey, everybody. This is Kai Deering with On the Fly with Kai. This is, I can't believe it, it's season 2 and it's episode 6. We come to you live every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Nothing scripted. I try to bring you some of my best hacks, tips, and friends from 20 years of networking. And today is no different. Today, I'm super excited to bring to you actually a woman that it's fun. I actually met her 20 years ago at Spago's in Palo Alto when she was running a networking event. And I actually was representing a different company. And now I've been with my company for over 19 years. But I learned a lot from her because that was kind of my first dabbling in networking. And I've got to tell you, just to see her evolve over the years, now with 20 years under her belt as a life coach and a neuro-linguistic programming professional and a hypno and certified advanced Akashic Records teacher and reader, it's been really fun. Now I've seen her not only be an incredible coach, trainer, but now an author. She's got an author of Know Without Guilt, 6 Achievable Steps to Confidently Set and Communicate Your Boundaries. And so I'm just excited because she brings an interesting sort of spiritual aspect to business, which is something that is kind of unheard of. So please help me welcome here my guest, Julie Hawkins. And I'm super excited we were able to make it work. I know we had some technology challenges and whatnot, but I'm glad we made it work, right? We get things done.
Good morning, Kai, and thank you so much. Do you know, I feel like this is so appropriate because I sometimes feel like I fly by the seat of my pants.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, you just have had such an incredible career. And I know when I first met you, you were just launching your coaching business. And I'm always curious because people always, like I did, we did the corporate route. We just, ground in that particular arena. And then for whatever reason, we sort of woke up from the matrix and decided to go do our own thing. And it's usually a defining moment that occurs for people. So I'd love to know a little bit about that defining moment for you and what made you, take that leap of faith and 20 years ago and start your coaching business.
It's interesting that you asked that. I was just thinking about that the other day. A defining moment was for me when I was sitting in my big office on the 13th floor, looking out this huge, gorgeous picture window and at the valley beyond. And then the controller walked into my office and started telling me all kinds of things that he shouldn't be telling me about executive management. And I told him, you stop, go away. I can't hear this. I don't want to be subpoenaed. And it was then and there that I decided I have to leave that company because it was against every value I had. And I went to another company, a startup, at a much higher rate of pay and a promotion, et cetera, and then was laid off in the dot-com bust. So all things lead, all roads lead, right? And then I just reinvented myself. Somebody told me, you ask such great questions. Have you thought about being a coach? And I went, what's a coach?
Right? It was not a thing back then, for sure.
No, 20 years ago, nobody had heard of coaching. And I did coaching, and then I went on and did NLP training and hypnosis training. I became a trainer in those areas. It's all change work, all beliefs, mind change, all change work, behavior change work, and communication. And then I decided I really liked training better than coaching. And then my partner died, as you know, and I had to reinvent myself again. So lots of pivotal moments. That's how I came to terms with my psychic gift and began doing that work as well.
So really that was when Chris passed is when you kind of realized that, because I was curious how that occurred and how you got that gift of insight.
I always had it. I just didn't know what to do with it, which is common for so many people. And I pretended that I didn't have it. And I went into the corporate world, as so many of us do. And so, but after my partner died, I was like, I can't do the same things that I was doing. And I really had to really completely reinvent my business. And I love giving readings. I have a call and then an appointment and then another reading today. And then this is my busy season. So all kinds of good stuff. And now I channel. I have YouTube. I have cats that always are with me here. So this is Bella.
Hi, Bella.
Um, and so I have channeled sessions on my YouTube channel, and that's fun too. That was a new gift that came through this last year
The
with the
pivot. Yep.
pandemic. So all
So
kinds. Yeah.
I know people have a lot of questions because when I was in hardcore corporate America, I always thought all this stuff was like woo woo. Why do you need this woo woo stuff? And of course, over the years, I've realized that that is kind of the glue that makes all of the business stuff work. So, it is a shift for folks that have a corporate or just maybe new into their business or don't understand how those soft skills, whether it's beliefs or Akashic Records. So maybe tell people a little bit like what NLP and hypnosis is, because certainly that's not your kind of, people think they're going to walk around like a chicken and start clucking. And, so I think there's a mystique around it if you haven't experienced. So I'd love for you to address, what is that modality and how can it free people from some of their personal habits and limiting beliefs?
It really just helps to uncover what's going on in the subconscious. It's like a meditation. It sounds like a meditation. It feels like a meditation. You don't disappear. You better not go to sleep. It's really just sounds like a guided meditation, and it's really to help uncover things, thoughts and beliefs that drive and run your life that you're not aware of, so that you can work on them and have a conscious experience of changing them. And that's really what we need to do. We need to have a conscious experience of that. How it works, how the soft skills work with the other skills, we're not just robots. We're not just doing all the time. We need to have those moments of meditative, reflective thoughts and our spiritual connection, whatever it is for you. And there's so much that we don't see, so much in the unseen world. Why would we think it's limited to just here? So it makes up all of us. We're not just one thing.
Yeah, we're energy, pretty much. So, and everyone, when I was gearing up for this interview, of course, is very, very, very curious because you call yourself the Biz Psychic. So and I've had a reading before when I wanted to find out a little bit more about my mom and who has passed just a few years ago. How does that work for you? How do you implement that in your practice? Because that's what everyone wants to know. Like, how does that psychic part work? What is it? Can you tell the future? Can you, get my lottery numbers? Can you, so explain to people what that is. Because I think I have a good handle on how it works in your practice, but I'd love for you to share with everybody, what is that? How does it work?
Thank you. And it is probably the most common question. I say a prayer and I connect up with your guides, whomever is sitting with me on the phone or in person, which I don't do at this time. All of it is virtual now. And I kind of just dial up your guides. Everybody has them. And I ask them questions and they give me answers. And it's really just that simple. I don't sound any different. Every psychic, every reader has their own sort of unique gift and style. And when I first started doing this work, because it is very spiritual work, actually, my teacher was like, we never talk about dates or predictions. That's not what we do. And as I started doing readings, I got that information and I'm like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, you need to give it to these people because that's why we're giving it to you. And I'm like, okay. And truly it's a big part of almost every reading. So how I ended up being the Biz Psychic is that 95% of the people that were coming to me were asking me questions that were related to business. So I became the Biz Psychic.
So they would say, what do you recommend how do I pivot? What am I, should I fire this person? What are some of the...
Yes, all of those questions. And I will tell you that the best questions and the best reading is a conversational one and an inquisitive one. The more questions and the more specific the question you come with, the more specific a response and information you will receive back. It's kind of just that simple.
Wow. And so so we talked about who your spirit guides are. Is it one person that, or are you tapping into their spirit guide? How does, and where, how are you, like somebody who thinks maybe they have a gift? Because I have a friend that, a new friend of mine, and she thinks she has a gift. And so I know she's really exploring it. So for people who think they have it, how would they fine tune it, tap into it, and try to capitalize on it?
Oh, thank you for asking that, because I love talking to people who feel that way and don't know where to go with it, right? I will spend no charge. I will talk to anybody about this anytime. So I actually teach people how to tap into it. So that's certainly one way. And I'll have a class coming up again this year. And people can find that on my website, which is juliehawkins.com or bizpsychic.com. That's one way. There's a lot of books out there. What I also recommend is go to Meetup. There's tons of different types of ways to connect, and find the one that resonates for you. That you connect to, and you'll know it'll feel right. And that's how people figure that out. And a mentor, at least somebody who's willing to answer questions for you, because I wished I had that when I was young. Everything plays out as it's supposed to, so I don't worry about that. But my suggestion is, yes, find somebody you can talk to. It's important for anything, whether it's understanding what your gift is, or depression, or business sense, whatever it is. Find somebody you can talk to. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I hear this word, okay, so Akasha Records,
Yep.
all the time. And I did a little bit of research prior to this interview. Hi, baby. Just to find out a little bit about what it was, because I'm always kind of curious about it. And maybe you could explain to them what that is and how that reading would work, because it sounds like that's different than like what I did with you when you helped channel my mom and all that good stuff.
It is different. So the Akashic Records and the Akasha is a section of the ether, so of space, and within that space is what we call the Hall of Records, or the Akashic Records. It's been written about in the Bible. It has been around forever and ever, as long as there have been people on our planet and elsewhere. And it's vibrational. It's all energy, as you so astutely mentioned when we first opened up, that everything is energy. And so what I do is connect into that energy. Like I said, I say a prayer and go in. Everybody has guides. Everybody has angels, can call in angels. That's not part of my work, but I talk to your guides, or your masters, your teachers, and your loved ones. And they know you best. So why would I ask mine about you? Now, I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with that. Most psychics do that. They will work with their own guides and are very skilled at doing that. It's just a different flavor. I like to say everything's an ice cream, and it's just a different flavor. So that's how that works. Now, when I give a mediumship reading, like I did with you, Kai, for your mother, now I'm got cat hair. Always got cat hair flying around. I open up my own records. When I channel, I open up my own records and the Earth's records if I'm asking for global guidance or information. When I give a reading to somebody that wants an Akashic reading, or just a future reading or a current reading, anything that isn't mediumship, and I'll explain that difference in a moment, then I open their records. So if you came to me and said, Julie, I need to have a reading because I need to know, how am I going to make that $1 million club, and when am I going to do it? I would say, great, let's schedule a reading and we'll go in and find out the best way to do that, or when it's going to happen, or if it's going to happen, or maybe you're meant to do other things, philanthropist Kai. So
I love that.
As you are. So I work, when I give a reading, with somebody else's records, and when I give the mediumship, which is contacting people who have died, and they go into spirit form or non-physical form, then I work with them. It's a slower process for me. When I give a mediumship reading, it just takes longer to connect into that energy. I'm just faster at the other one. Yeah.
You talked about global, and I know you have on your YouTube where you're kind of answering some global questions. So we've gone from pinpointing, like speaking with, channeling my mom and speaking with my mom, to really this like global thing. And how does that work versus, one person? Because that is really interesting to me too, how you're able to tap into some global trends and what's happening. It's really, really interesting.
It was interesting to me too when I started doing it. I'm like, wow, okay, let's do it. Let's go for it. Um, it, it's no different. It's just an energy, right? It's just my request to tap into the energy of the planet or the energy of the US. And so when I open up my records, I open up those records as well and ask for that guidance. Now, the Earth's a big place. I'm not going to get everything. So that's why questions and specific questions are so helpful.
So, okay, I have to ask. I know we've had a big, for those of you who might be watching this on replay, we had a big regime change yesterday, and I don't want to get into politics per se, because everybody thinks differently. Yes. But I would like to ask you, what are your predictions for maybe healing and unity, and where we're headed for the next 4 years?
Yes. Okay. I can't give you 4 years. We never go that far out.
Okay, good to know.
I won't say never, but it's there's too many possibilities. But what has been coming up, and I just love saying this because it feels so good. I was on a walk this morning with my friend, which I do just almost every morning, and I was telling her how I keep getting this message of prosperity is coming, prosperity is coming, prosperity is coming, which we really, of course, need to hear, right? And now, is it coming tomorrow? No. But they give me about 6 months out from now that you'll really be able to see and feel the difference. And I'm like, okay, so what stock should I invest in? Because I feel like I need to get in and do this pretty quickly. So, of course, I'm always leaning towards Apple, but, anyway, we'll see. I probably would go to a professional to help me with that. I don't generally ask for stock picks in the Akashic Records. So that's what they're telling us is ahead. There's going to be, and when I started channeling back in May of last year, May of 2020, they pretty quickly told us that there was going to be a change in management back then. And here it is. We had it finalized yesterday, and there are new things to come. There are certainly a lot of challenges, we'll call them, ahead, and you'll see for the next 3 months how there's going to be some bumps and ups and downs with the challenges that face us, pandemic and the economic information. Let's see if there's anything else that they want to tell me about challenges. They're like, aside from the usual stuff, well, maybe. But yes, prosperity starting around midsummer, you're going to really start to feel that shift and see that shift happening, that where our economy is really going to start feeling that positive change coming in. So we need it. This pandemic is not over. When I started the channeling about this last year, I asked them, how long is this going to be around? And they told me 3 years. And I went, what? What? Are you sure? And they're like, yeah. And I said, okay, wait, let me ask it this way. How long will this situation be here? How long will it take before we come back to what we were pre-pandemic? And they said 3 years. And I said, okay. So there will be glitches, there will be ups and downs with the pandemic. This particular pandemic will, I'm not going to say never go away, but it will be with us for a very long time. it will be manageable. It's a virus. It will always be manageable, but it will be a new virus for us, like an influenza virus or the cold. It, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that. What about, so I'm going to switch gears on you a little bit because I know this has guided you in all your business decisions, but you've also written a book, and so I'm going to switch gears on that. And I don't think that has anything to do with the psychic abilities and all that. I think it has more to do with because it's called "No Without Guilt."
Say no without guilt.
Yeah, so I would love to hear, because I think a lot of times many of us have to say no to something to open up for something else to come in. And if we say yes to everything, we're going to say no to a lot of things. So how has that, where did that idea come from for you? And, tell us a little bit about the book.
Thank you for asking that. It's such a big theme for so many people. I'm amazed that it isn't spoken about, talked about really more. It came in after my partner died, when I really learned that I had to say no to certain things in order to preserve my energy and to rebound. And it always, saying no, setting boundaries, saying that without guilt had always been an issue for me. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I did not want to disappoint anybody, hurt anybody's feelings. I always wanted to avoid conflict. Anybody relate to that out there? It's hard for recovering people pleasers. And I knew that it was my time finally to work on this. And little by little, it took me 5 years to write the book and 3 years of work. And out of that came a 6-step program that I teach to people, because if I can do it, you can do it. And it really is the difference between having a life of joy and fulfillment and meaning versus a life of crap and doormat and conflict and disappointment. Which would you rather have? So, and now that's really what I live, a life full of meaning and joy and happiness 95% of the time.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It is a hard thing to reconcile with and make sure that we get that done. If you were looking at, where we've got to pivot in the last year, there's been some good, of course, there's been some bad, of course. But what is your goals? Kind of share with folks, like where are you looking to take your business? Because certainly you've got kind of two halves of your business in the next handful of years. Like, I know you've pivoted pretty good. It was easy for you to be online. What are your goals, or how does your business look over the next, 2-3 years?
You ask the best questions. You really do. It's funny that you asked that question, because I am in a year-long mastermind program to amp up and up-level my speaking. I want to bring the tools of setting boundaries, because if you don't set boundaries and live your values, you have a life of crap, to more of the world at large, and to bring this really back into corporate, because that's where we seem to be stressed out the most. So it really is about speaking more. I love giving my readings, and I will always do that. And I may continue teaching that. I really want to teach people how to say no and feel good about it, and set the boundaries that they need to, according to the values that they want to live, and maybe have been ignoring and weren't even aware of it. Just know that their life isn't what they wanted it to be. So it's going to be through a lot of speaking. That's my goal.
And just doing the readings on the side. So mostly, yeah, that makes sense. What about as we go into kind of the final minutes here of this interview, which has been a lot of fun, because I think we're educating on, the woo-woo, right? Because I think people don't understand that. But I guess my last question to you is, if somebody wanted to tap into some of their abilities and just kind of dabble in it, do you have a great book or a great person? Like, if they just want to, just let me see if I'm even gifted in any way, shape, or form. Would you recommend a book? Would you recommend a person, a certain speaker on YouTube to look at? What would you recommend?
That's a good question. There are really two parts to that answer, as opposed to a book, because there are those people who work with spirits and see spirits, and those are natural born mediums. I was not a natural born medium. I'm a natural born, we'll call it predictive psychic. And they're two different things. The best book, which is the one I found for the work that I do, is How to Read the Akashic Records by Linda Howe, Howe. That's where I started. And I literally opened it up, read to page 2 and went, oh, this is where I go. This is what I do. Knew I was home. And that's the work I teach. I teach Linda's work. So there's that book. As far as mediumship, you kind of just have to search and see who you resonate with. I mean, I did further work in mediumship with a medium on the East Coast who I really, really like. I don't think she has a book out, but it's not a how-to book. But there are a couple of good books, and one I really like is a book by Kim Russo, who is I can't remember what she calls herself, the happy medium, I think.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's really cute. So I would, and someone else, it's fun now. I figured out, I'm learning StreamYard as we're going, and I figured out how to be able to put people's comments on there. And somebody just said, I love Seth Speaks.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm pointing to my bookcase that you cannot see. And there's a great book by Jane Roberts, who is channeled Seth. It's called The Education of Oversoul 7. And there's actually a trilogy. And the funny thing is, I pulled it from my bookcase and have it on my coffee table. I was going to start reading. I read it once. I was going to start reading it again, but I have many other things going on. So yes, Seth Speaks. And of course, Abraham Hicks. They channeled the collective. And they're amazing. I just have a quick story to tell about that. Years and years ago, I went to see, Chris and I went to go see Abraham Hicks live up in Burlingame.
Oh, wow.
Before Jerry died. And when we were in the room with 500 people, and this was before I realized what my ability was. And there goes Bella. And, people are milling around and sitting and talking. And then Esther comes out. And as soon as she switched to allow her collective to come in, I went out. I don't know where I went. I don't remember anything that happened. Chris is like, do you remember that? I'm like, no, don't remember a thing. And I think I just went and connected with them.
Wow.
And was with them the whole time we were in there. So, but I didn't know what that was at the time. So yeah, I love Esther Hicks, and my channeling's a lot like Esther's. So yeah,
that makes sense, because Christy Rogers, a mutual friend of ours who I interviewed on the show a few times ago. So if you want to see that as well, she's into that too. And I've been reading their manifesting book and things like that. So really good stuff. But yeah, a little woo woo. So for those of you who are new to this, just roll with it. Have some fun.
It doesn't matter where it comes from.
Yeah,
it's great words of wisdom. Just go with that.
Exactly. Well, so we have 1 minute left. And so how can people maybe buy your book or engage with you? What's the best way if they want to continue this conversation, maybe hire you? How does that work? What is the best way to get a hold of you?
All paths lead to my website, juliehawkins.com or Biz Psychic.com, juliehawkins.com. My book is available there. You can book appointments and see what they are, what kinds of appointments they are. And my classes will always be up there. That is really the best way to connect with me. You can go to YouTube, which is Julie Hawkins, the Biz Psychic. And all those channeled sessions are up there for free. So go ahead and they're by question. So if you see a question that you like, you can just go and see that 4 or 5 minute video.
Excellent. Well, thank you again. We hit right on the top of the hour. I learned a couple things today, not only from you, but about our technology that now we can have people interact with us from Facebook. That's cool. And now they know how to engage with you. And this was a fabulous 30 minutes. I could be here all day talking to you about this. I know we've had, wine and chat for about an hour, just had such a blast. So thank you for your 20 years of business friendship and what you do in the world and making a stand for, marrying the two, right? You're psychic and you're fun with your business. So thank you so much. And I appreciate everyone. We'll be back here next Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time with another great guest. So thank you so much. Take care, take charge. We'll see you over the top.